Anna Palmer, part of the Special Topics class, and we are picking a tool, technology, programming language, something we're using on our project, and we're giving a 5-minute spiel on it. And so I am part of the database team, so I thought it would be nice to choose something we would work closely with. And between the two big things, we're using MongoDB and Docker. I chose to do it on Docker. Now, why is Docker important to us in this project? Well, MongoDB can either be run natively on your device or via the Docker image provided in the backend folder. So we are going to use Docker to run MongoDB. And I'll probably jump back to this later to show you how to download Docker as a desktop client and maybe some other fun stuff, but for now, I would like to give us a definition and a brief history of Docker. Now, Docker is also known as the first container. Docker is an open source platform that enables you to build, deploy, run, update, and manage containers. Now, containers are components that combine source code within the operating system libraries and dependencies that are required to run that code in any environment. It is a nice way to package everything you need in one place. Keep it separate. Now, a little bit about the history of Docker, like who created it, that was Solomon Hykes. He created Docker in Paris, France. It was an internal project within dotCloud. He then debuted to the public in Santa Clara at PyCon in 2013. It was released as open source in March 2013, and at the time it did use LXC, or Linux containers, as its default execution environment. Now that is a very interesting bit of history that I didn't know until I decided to learn and present about it. If anyone else has any really interesting facts about Docker that maybe I didn't catch, please let me know. I would love to learn more about it. Now, how we would set it up and use it. Or, better yet, I can show you some of the articles I read before we set up and use it. Let's see, this one is a fun one, right here. Takes a bit to load. What is Docker? The Spark for the Container Revolution by Scott Carey. This is what got me interested in studying Docker or choosing it for this presentation. Basically, I think this paragraph is one of the funner paragraphs. Docker, the component parts. It took off because software developers found it a very novel way to package the tools required to build and launch a container in a more streamlined and simplified way than was previously possible. So when you break it down into its parts, it comprises of a Docker file, container images, the run utility, Docker Hub, Docker Engine, a lot of different parts. So at the time, it was fantastic because they've never had anything like this. But nowadays, it's a little more interesting, which leads me to this other article I read and cited. If you guys want, you can find it on my presentation that I will share the link to. This article asks, why is Docker getting obsolete? And I thought that was kind of funny because we are using this tool because it was the one we decided was the best. And so it's kind of funny because I'm like, no, it's not obsolete, we're using it. But then again, there is, like with any tool, language, or anything, there's pros and cons. So you've seen a lot of the pros, but some of the cons are it provides too much when you need to get things running. So it is more complicated sometimes than you need it to be. And so there's stuff like Kubernetes and OpenShift, which are simpler and easier, and they just streamline the services better. All in all, though, Docker is still a great tool. You just have to be willing to deal with a lot of the things and know what you need to use. Which leads us to maybe installing Docker. So I have a little checklist right here. There's also a checklist and a video if you want in our README, which everybody should know how to find. But first things first, we navigate to the Docker's website. We will then, what's the second step? Choose your current operating system and click the button. Alright, my operating system, I'm on a Mac. So I'm going to choose Docker Desktop for Mac. If somebody had Windows, they would choose the other one, or Linux, the other one, so on and so forth. Now, we will click this, and it would take us to this page. Now, this means I might need to do a bit of research into whether I have Apple Silicon chip or Intel chip. Yay. So, in case people don't know where to find that, you can usually find that, by going to your information on your desktop, which I totally know where that is. Regardless, once you find that information, you would click on the next thing. It would run the installer, then you would restart your device. Once your device restarts, you would log back in, and then the client should launch automatically. You accept the Docker subscription service. Trust me, you won't have to pay anything. The client will close itself and launch again, and you will follow the steps to create a free account. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and then you have Docker on your desktop, and you can start using that with whatever project you're currently working on. If there's any more questions, you all know where to find me, and I will end this presentation here before it gets too long. Bye for now.